It all started with that familiar feeling you all know. The pantry's looking bare and you're on a budget, but the grocery run is still a few days away. Therefore, I pulled out my favorite Depression era cookbook for inspiration to see if I could get our family of 10 through the next couple of days. I was not disappointed, though some of the tips were a bit unconventional. So, one of the things I always keep around is some type of beans. Even when I've run out of everything else, we always have beans here. I put some navy beans to soak on the stove with a little apple cider vinegar to make them more easily digestible and put them in the Instant Pot. Now, beans were a big staple during the Great Depression. I mentioned this in my video I made a while back about cooking tips from the Great Depression. They're cheap and full of protein if you combine them with other complementary types of protein. Now, normally I would make any soup, especially with beans, with some type of meaty broth to help stretch the protein and add flavor. I'm actually out of broth and all bones. All I have is a few pounds of ground meats. I don't even have any type of cream cheese or milk or cream to add some substance to the soup. However, one thing that can add a lot of flavor to a soup is a good sausage. Sausage was a staple during the Great Depression. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but for me, finding any type of sausage without additives or nasty stuff in it is really hard, and when I do find one, it's always super expensive. Homemade loose sausage is so easy to make, and it's one of those things that you should just do in bulk to keep around for a quick dinner. People living during the Depression made a lot of sausage, especially pork sausage, since many farmers kept pigs around to eat scraps. Not everyone had land enough for a cow, but you could keep a pig and feed it on scraps, even on a very small piece of land. They would often add blood or grains to make the sausage go a bit further. I'm not going to do anything that creative today, but I am going to show you my favorite Italian sausage recipe. I find it incredibly flavorful, especially if it's sat for a few hours or a few days, and there's no bad additives in it. I'm putting the recipe down below. There's oregano, thyme, paprika, vinegar, sugar, fennel, salt, pepper, onion, and garlic. I think that's all. If you don't have one of those spices, it's still really flavorful with all the other ones. But I know a lot of people want to eat clean, and they simply cut back on their protein to do this and rely on incomplete proteins like beans and rice. Now, this is a good way to keep the toxins out of your diet, but I find that my family really feels so much more satiated. Our blood sugar is better balanced if we have actual meat protein. And so I find that buying a lower quality animal protein is better than going without protein at all. Normally, we like to buy a whole cow or a pig from a local farmer, but that just hasn't been in the budget this spring. So I'm using the best ground meat that I can find and making a sausage from scratch, so at least we aren't being exposed to MSG, high fructose corn syrup, and all the other nasties that are in most of the conventional sausages out there. Now, with this Italian sausage, I'm going to make a kind of Italian soup, but I've only got one bag of greens in my freezer that I'm going to save for my next recipe. So I decided to try a food that's fun and everyone talks about eating during the Depression, and that is the dandelion. The dandelions have all just started blooming in our yard. You may have taken these as a supplement for liver cleanses like I have, but I don't know a lot of people who eat them regularly. So my son and I are having fun gathering some dandelion leaves. We're going to rinse these and saute them along with the other vegetables so that they are going to form my soup base. I think they'll taste just as good as if I had bought some kale or another type of green. I've read stories from the Great Depression where there were gardens that failed because of the weather, and so the moms just canned the greens that they found in their backyard. The plants we know as weeds were often what people called a salad back then. So I'm going to saute these dandelions, but we are running low on butter and olive oil. So another tip from the Great Depression is to never waste fat. And my husband actually rendered some tallow from a brisket we had last week. When I was a young, inexperienced housewife, I would throw the trimmings from meat away or just give them to the dog. And now we actually take all those bits and pieces, put them in a bag in our freezer, and have a rendering day. I'm also cleaning out my fridge, getting all those rubbery carrots, the limp celery, and onion, and those dandelion greens. And I'm going to chop that all and add it to the tallow, saute it to make that nice flavorful base for the soup. And of course, I'm going to take all the odds and ends from those veggies and put them aside, put them in a little baggie in my fridge, and save them for the next time I make broth, whether that be veggie broth or some type of meat broth. There's no reason to ever have to use a whole piece of fresh vegetable in your broth. Now, I mentioned that I do not have any milk or cream to make my broth have a creamy consistency. So one of the tricks I'm going to use to give it a good consistency is to take some beans, some of the cooked beans that have finished in the Instant Pot, add some of the bean broth or some water, and then blend them up really well in my blender. You could use an immersion blender for this as well. Just a couple cups until you get kind of a nice paste. And then I'm going to take this and add it to that soup, and it's going to kind of trick our mouths into thinking that there is more fat or some actual cream in that soup. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white wine vinegar and I'm going to add that to the soup as well. That little tang from the vinegar adds some interest to your broth, well, not your real broth. And then I'm going to add my Italian vegetables that I have on hand. That's some onion, some garlic, some rosemary, and some oregano. Now this soup is very hearty, but I do want to make a couple sides for the soup since it's going to last for 2 or even 3 meals. And I happened to find some homemade cornbread mix in my freezer. I put it in my freezer because it was made with fresh milled flour. If you want the recipe for this mix, you can check out the video I linked up above. But using fresh milled flour was a huge thing during the Great Depression that helped get them through. If they had been using white flour, only eating with white flour, then they would have had a lot more health problems. They would not have been as satiated. And I try to cook with whole grains as much as possible. It not only saves money, but it's just healthier for my family. Now I'm going to cook this in a cast iron skillet to get those edges nice and crispy. When I melted my fat for the cornbread, I made sure to do it in the skillet, so the skillet is pre-greased. And this cornbread is not only going to be for dinner to go with the soup, it's going to really complement the soup since it's a sweeter cornbread, but it's going to be our breakfast tomorrow as well. So when you were cooking during the Great Depression, they obviously didn't have refrigeration, at least not the poor people. So if you made a bread or baked anything, it was going to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm just adding some honey on top of this. I'm going to add some butter as well. And that sweetness really, like I said, it complements the savory soup and it makes it a good breakfast food as well. I also made a homemade salad from whatever I found in my fridge, some green olives, cucumbers, and a mayonnaise dressing. I can link that recipe down below too. And yeah, I served that up with the soup, with some cornbread, and it was a big hit. The one thing I would have done differently is I would have made the rosemary, I would have ground it up a bit more because those bigger chunks, the little kids didn't like those as much. You know, the secret to making beans taste good is simply adding lots of spices. Just keep adding those spices until you think it tastes good. Now, in my last video, I also talked a lot about one-pot meals. These were really big during the Great Depression, and now I'm going to show you one of our family's favorites. It's kind of a deconstructed hamburger helper, but I've added a few tweaks, and there's a secret budget-friendly ingredient that really brings it up to another level. Everybody loves it. So you start with some ground beef and onions. Again, I'm using the tallow, the beef tallow that my husband rendered. There's, I believe, 7 different spices in this recipe. I'll put it down below. And you add that to the beef. And because there's so many different spices in this recipe, if I have any extra ground beef in the fridge, maybe leftover sloppy joe, spaghetti, taco meat, I will actually just put it into this recipe. I mean, not a whole bunch, but just little bits here and there, so I'm not wasting things. With all the spices, you really don't notice the extra addition of flavor. You've got oregano, parsley, onion, garlic, paprika, and chili powder, and then good old salt and pepper, of course. I sauteed all the beef and onion and all of these spices until everything was really well cooked. I added some frozen spinach that I found in the freezer as well for some extra nutrition. This is optional, but it's a really good way to get greens down your kids. I also added some sugar and Worcestershire sauce. This just adds some of that good umami flavor, and like I said, I don't have any broth to do that. So my secret ingredient for this recipe is nutritional yeast. Like I said, I don't have cheese on hand, but nutritional yeast stays good in the pantry for a long time, so I usually have some of this. But you could definitely skip the yeast and put cheese on top afterwards, or you don't need either of those. It would still be good. They're both just excellent. While I'm cooking up the meat and spices, I've also got water boiling for the noodles. Now, if I didn't have noodles, I would simply do rice or even potatoes with this. I suppose you could put it on bread as well and make it a type of sandwich, but I've never tried that. Honestly, one of the keys to being a good cook, a frugal cook, is just being really versatile. You can really come up with some interesting recipes, and of course, this is something they had to do all the time during the Great Depression. If you didn't have something, you didn't have something, and you made do with what you have. So, to be a good cook, you can easily, switch out carbs in a recipe or proteins or maybe a few of the spices, and sometimes you can come up with something better than you had before. I've often heard people say that limits or parameters inspire the greatest creativity, and I've definitely found this to be true in the kitchen. This is actually, something good to know just for menu planning. So maybe you know that every week you're going to have chicken and rice at least one day, but one day you make the Mexican chicken and rice, and the next week it's Indian butter chicken or an Asian recipe. You're just switching out spices, even though you're keeping the same staples on hand, chicken and rice. Don't feel like you have to run to the store if you're missing an ingredient. Think outside the box. See if there's another ingredient in that same category, like, the carb category, the protein category, or the fat category that you could substitute. So after the noodles were done, I drained them, I added them to the beef and mixed it all together. It's nice to let this recipe sit for a little bit, the beef and noodles, so that the juice from the beef really coats those noodles. Then I served it up, and it was definitely a hit. As always, this is one that I always intend to make a double meal, but then everybody eats way more than I think. Usually I serve it along with some steamed vegetables, but I don't feel bad if I don't have steamed vegetables since I put the greens in there. Definitely check out my notes if you want some more tips for healthy cooking on a budget, and subscribe if you would like to see me making more nutritious meals for my big family. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless.